OPERG doing a Peace Week. It starts shortly. On January the 21st, they would love to have our General Assembly, if it is held, here as part of Peace Week. So we should be somewhat imaginative about how to do that. Next Saturday is a bit tricky because of events in Toronto, Occupy Toronto workshop weekend, and also there are people interested in the Caterpillar strike in London, which is ridiculous, totally ridiculous. Okay, we also mentioned that eventually, this would be ones we could do down the road, any municipal action, anything City Hall does that we object to, we respond to immediately. There will be two budgets coming out that would be devastating, a federal budget and a provincial budget. We should respond. Provincially, the Drummond Commissions, Don Drummond from the TD, used to be in the TD Bank. He works for the 1%. And he's one of the better ones at working for the 1%. Is coming out of a report perhaps by the end of the month. As a point of information, there are 2 public forums next week. Some of you have already received this, okay? There is a town hall meeting on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. regarding the Drummond Commission. I'm going to, okay. All right, Tuesday night and Wednesday morning at 9:30, both at the Shriners. Talk to me later about this. And the crime bill is a possibility. So the last part was going to be Matt Davison to present an idea to you, a real proposal to you. Matt's not here, so I could do it.
Okay, so the DA proposal is going to encompass, sounds like I'm kind of getting a scope for future actions, as well as the values and, right? Okay, scope for future actions and your values. Sure. Sounds good. Actually, tying into that, do you want to announce your proposal?
Sure.
Because it ties into the National Day of Action.
Okay. So February 1st, students across, and students and our supporters and our allies across the country are going to take to the streets. Days of action used to be kind of common things. 2008 was our last day of action. We had 350,000 students across the country take out to the streets. This is the exclusion of Quebec. Quebec had their student day of action last October 18th, and they had 175,000 students in the province walk out of class, which is about 50% of all students. So they do amazing things in that province. Here in Peterborough, historically, we just got ourselves some buses and shipped ourselves down to Toronto to be a fish in a school of millions. We're not doing it this year. We have millions, we have thousands of reasons to care about education here in Peterborough. And education is not exclusive to post-secondary, it's not exclusive to secondary, primary, or any form of education. It is merely the idea that education ought to be a priority, which is what we're rallying at City Hall, February 1st, 1 p.m., to make education a priority. There's 2 things that I'll speak to very briefly, then I'll pass it off to my friend Lindsay. It's talking about accessibility of education and health in education. These 2 things speak really strongly to me. Like, to access post-secondary education due to tuition fees, or to access high school and post-secondary education due to increasing user fees, we're seeing more and more not being able to consider, or more and more not being able to participate to the same extent as their peers. And this is wrong. Never in our society should we have a 2-tiered system of some who can access the education, some who cannot access education. Everyone who ought to, or everyone who wants to, everyone who thinks about it should be able to consider post-secondary, secondary, college, whatever it may be. And this is something I know. February 1st, I bring. When I want to shut it to Leo, I want to say, I want an education system where everyone can participate regardless of their economic stance. And the last one is talking about mental health, which is becoming increasingly a big problem, more emphasized on post-secondary education campuses, where students who want to drop out of post-secondary because they can no longer do it and be healthy due to stress, depression, or whatever it may be, have to deal with the financial implications. If you are a student and you say, I just can't do this and be healthy, and you drop out, the very next day OSAP will send you an email saying, hey, we're expecting your payments the very next day. And that's not a system. We should never have a student saying, I want to drop out because I can't be healthy. And then saying, well, I can't afford to drop out. And that should never be the circumstances that we should be operating under. And that's what we're operating under right now. So on February 1st, I'm asking everyone, I'm organizing to the best of my abilities to go all out, make education a priority.
Okay. And the part I'm going to be discussing is how the government has recently brought out this grant that's supposed to help students with the rising cost of tuition. However, what we recently found out is that this grant is taking 3 grants that were previously accessible to everyone and making this new grant that is not accessible to the vast majority of students who are in need. So it's kind of made it so that way they're giving this money in sort of a duck-duck-goose method where they're taking from everyone and not giving it to everyone. So that's part of the issue that I have, because they've taken it from the mature and transfer students, they've taken it from the international students, from everyone, and only a limited amount of people have access now. So on February 1st at 1 p.m. we're going to be marching to Jeff Leo's office, and we want to show him that we want to make education a priority.
Where are you going to be again?
City Hall, and then we're going to Jeff Leo's office. Well,
At City Hall.
Same day, February 1st, 1 p.m.
yeah.
Continuing.
Sorry?
I just have a question about the 3 grants. I know one of them is the as a textbook technology grant. What are the other 2?
The one is the Rise to the Top.
Queen Elizabeth II, yeah.
And then the Ontario Scholarship Transfer Fund, which is
Okay.
not so much a scholarship or a grant, it's kind of a funding mechanism that encourages universities to develop scholarships.
So that proposal is surrounding the National Day of Action. And so we'll temperature check and go through the clarifications for that in a minute. I'm going to announce the communications proposal. Communications been working on bringing together the different point of information.
Yeah, the report from the Direct Action Group isn't complete. There's just one more thing.
Let's talk about that when we get into
Okay.
it. Okay. So is that okay? Okay. So the communications proposal is surrounding administrating the email address, which we'd like to use as the generic email face by Peterborough, and how we'd administrate that and make sure it's compatible with people's vision and lenses. And so we'd like to use Google as the main or the first kind of set of ways of collaborating and connecting with people online. And we can discuss that in more detail. And then the second piece we'd like to talk about is we have the Gmail account, the Google account, and then talk a little bit about Facebook and Twitter with outreach, but then also going into more offline methods, such as administrating a phone tree, which we'd like permission and to do that. So we'll talk to you more about that when we get to our proposal. I knew Outreach had a proposal.
Yeah, there's a couple of things from Outreach. Actually, it ties in very closely to what you're saying about direct action. I think maybe the 2 should be put together, but Outreach needs some kind of mission statement or statement of principles from the GA, as GA approved, so that when Outreach is reaching out to other groups or just representing Occupy Peterborough at all, we have something that's not just the Outreach Committee saying it. A really articulate one will take time. So I was thinking, I would like to propose if there could be permission to have a simple statement that we could bring to, say, the next GA and have that approved, that the Outreach Committee come up with as a temporary statement that everyone agrees with, and maybe down the road, I think this is probably what Direction Action Committee might have in mind, is to create over the long term, say over a month or 2, a real statement of principles that represent us properly. So I'd like to get a temperature check on that today. also we came up with an idea in relation to that could also happen now, which is a Why I Occupy project, where people, I believe it's going to be, we're talking about it being in an audio format at first, yeah? So people will be recorded if they wish, giving the reason why they occupy, and this could be posted in various places as a collection. So it's not just one statement, but it's multiplicity of statements, why everyone in particular occupies. So we'd like to get permission to start on that project as well today. And yeah, I guess what you were saying, they're tying in sharing social media. And as part of that announcement, the outreach community people are here today. We're going to meet afterwards if you're interested in outreach activities. There's already a lot of things we have to do. So yeah, we'll hang around for about half an hour afterwards. I think that covers it for outreach.
You want to talk about the talk as well?
Talk?
The Occupy talk?
On February 1st, sure. Although you probably have to help me out with that because I don't know everything. But so apparently, a Trent professor contacted you, right? Contacted Joe?
I can talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Trent Professor is organizing an Occupy talk at Trent on February 1st at the exact same time as the education rally. And they're bringing somebody from Occupy Toronto as well to talk about that perspective. So we'd like to discuss as a group how to go about doing this. And so at the outreach meeting yesterday, it was kind of discussed that this could be a promotion piece, so we could send a spokes group or person or whatnot who has an understanding of this Why I Occupy project. And so this would be a promotion piece at Trent, whereas the majority of our bodies would be potentially at the National Day of Action. And so seeing the two as separate, so one's kind of an outreach promotion piece and the other one's actually connecting common causes with education. And so we'll get into the actual discussion phase for that. Okay. Yeah, please just answer. That's the best way to kind of judge how things are going. Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring forward? Any individual?
Well, I'm not exactly clear on how we're paying for the space today. I guess first of all, we should also acknowledge that Sadleir House is hosting us, which is amazing. It's pretty hard to find an indoor space for the Occupy, so it's really great that Sadleir House is.
Yeah, and so that's a great limiting factor on how long the meeting is. There will be collections, like a kind of pass the hat method at the end. If this is a way that you can contribute to this movement, like $1 or $2, we can collect the money that way. Altogether, it's about $30 an hour. I'm okay putting in a few more dollars because that's where I'm at in life, so that's cool. And so we'll get to that close to the end of the meeting.
So yeah, so we'll probably need $60
Altogether, yeah.
to cover each meeting. Point of information.
The total is $30. It has been paid.
Oh,
Excellent.
There's a little kitty already started over here.
oh, it's already done. Cool.
Well, it's not done.
Did you, we're paid out today based on
Yes.
people's donations?
No.
Based on Roy.
Oh,
Thank you, Roy.
yeah.
I like it. That was good, Roy.